Almost, Scylla. Almost. Stjafjad. Witcher, so be it. Let us end this.
Hey, what is up guys? Joker here. Today I wanted to give you my final thoughts on The Witcher 3. I started covering this game about a year ago when we first got the system requirements for it because I was a big fan of the original Witcher games. Such a good RPG series from a dedicated developer like CD Projekt Red, who have just time and time again shown me that they are dedicated to putting out solid titles that perform well on all platforms, are optimized well. It doesn't seem like they want to bend over consumers on ridiculous things like pre-order bonuses and microtransactions and post-launch DLC that's, not really worth your time or your money. So, I was really excited for Witcher 3 to come out. Unfortunately, it took me almost a year to beat the game because I've just been insanely busy. But towards December, I finally sat down and dug into The Witcher 3, and I just finished it the other night, so I wanted to give you guys my final thoughts on it here today. So I'm going to do this review a little bit differently, as the game's really been out for a year now, and I don't expect anyone new to the channel to be really coming along looking for a super structured review when a game first comes out. So I just really wanted to convey my final thoughts to you guys as my experience playing the game, and hopefully that comes across to you maybe in a more natural manner, and you guys can get an idea if it's worth you going out to pick it up, which it is. Spoiler alert, the game is amazing. At this point, you could still get it for $30 on CD keys. I'll put a link to that down below if you, by some chance, still don't own Witcher 3, which is understandable. It's, it's not been on sale much, but getting back into the game. So, story-wise, overall, I felt that the story was okay. I thought that the ending was quite strong, though, for this game. And, by the way, spoiler alerts, we're going to be talking about spoilers in this video. As I've completed the game, I'm going to be talking about the end game content. I'm going to be talking about Hearts of Stone DLC, so that's your warning right there. As far as the ending of the game is concerned, I thought it was a good ending to The Witcher 3, but I did not think that it was a good ending to Geralt's story as a whole. Now, obviously, there are multiple endings. They say about 36 in total, but in reality, there's really only 3 major endings, and it's really it comes down to what happens with Ciri. Essentially, she can live at the end and become a Witcher, which is what happened in my particular ending because of the events that transpire throughout the game. There are many things that happen throughout the entire story. It doesn't come down to one decision. It's a matter of how you act in a lot of situations that may not necessarily seem like big decisions at the time, but they really could. It's just how you act, or maybe how you treat Ciri in a certain situation, is going to help shape her into the person that she is, and then eventually it's going to affect the outcome of the end of the game, as it should. Which made the ending of the game a really strong one, for Ciri anyway. But that's where it kind of left me disappointed, is because it wasn't focused as mainly on Geralt, I felt, towards the end of the story. And they really drive that home towards the end, telling you, this is, Ciri's story. This is not Geralt's story. This is Ciri's story. It's okay, well, then, why am I playing a trilogy about Geralt and then this is supposed to be the conclusion to Geralt's story, and then all of a sudden the third game is all about Ciri? Which, I don't mind the game being about her, but if for a game that's meant to be the finale in a trilogy for Geralt, I really felt it should have been more focused on him. Now, I don't want that to take away from Witcher 3 on its own, because it's still an incredible game, and the story was still very good. I'm just saying, for maybe fans of the entire franchise that maybe wanted to see the entire expansive Geralt story, you may be wanting a little bit more. Maybe. They wrap some things up at the end with comic book scenes showing you sort of what happens afterwards and how, or at least in my situation, that Geralt and Yennefer lived happily ever after. So, it is what it is. I just wish there was a little bit more there, focused on Geralt towards the end. But you can let me know what you think about that down in the comments below. I was mentioning that there's 3 possible big endings with Ciri. The other 2 are that obviously she dies, and then the last one is that she, it does live, but she becomes Empress rather than becoming a Witcher. And that's really if you, or to decide, there's a point in the story where you can decide to give her back to the Emperor Emir or not, for the Emperor of Nilfgaard. And I chose not to, because the entire game, he just seemed like a dick. I mean, maybe it's the fact that he's Charles Dance, maybe it's the fact that he is Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones, and instantly when I hear that voice, I got some trust issues, and he didn't really do much to win me over throughout the story. So, yeah, I wasn't giving Ciri back to him. It just seemed like he had his own personal interests at heart and not really necessarily Ciri's. And I'm incredibly happy with the ending that I personally got based on my decisions. I didn't look at any guides or know about any of the endings at the end. I wasn't like, playing through and saying, okay, I want to do this decision and this decision and this decision so that I can get this ending. I just went through and played it natural, the way that I would play it if I was Geralt. And that's the way that I like experiencing these games the first time. Now, I'll probably go back. I've already started a new game plus. I'll probably go back and do like a good guy or a bad guy type playthrough. I've done that at like Mass Effect, where I'll do like a Paragon, and then I'll do a bad guy playthrough. But with Witcher, I like going at it completely natural and just seeing how I feel about it. And that's one of the things that the Witcher series, for me, traditionally has done better than something like BioWare games, let's say Dragon Age, Mass Effect. With decisions. It seems like in Mass Effect and those Dragon Age games, it seems like all of your decisions are always so cut and dry. It's black or it's white. It doesn't ever seem like there's really much of a gray area in BioWare titles. I feel like with CD Projekt Red, they don't really tell you. It's just, here's the chat options. We're not going to make one of these blue and one of them red so that this is the good thing and this is the bad thing. You're left to follow your own moral compass, and sometimes even what maybe you think is good may not actually be good, that's where the moral compass comes in. I might actually think in my head I'm doing the right thing, and then I find out afterwards I was actually doing something wrong. I was just like, oh, I guess I probably should have find out more information there. And that's the fun of the first playthrough for me, is that trial and error and figuring things out. And it can be disappointing. Oh man, I missed that and I didn't get to do it. Well, that's what, go back and play it again. I've already started a new game plus. My first playthrough was on the Blood and Bones difficulty, but now I'm doing New Game Plus on Death March, and it is already pretty difficult at the start. It's picked back up right with my same character, all of my armor and everything. When I finished the game, I had full Ursine armor, swords, everything. I had all kitted out. I completed every single main story quest, every single treasure hunt, every single Witcher contract, and every single side quest except for collect all Gwent cards. Now, I did all of the Gwent missions. I loved Gwent, but I didn't get all the Gwent cards. It really just involves going around and playing Gwent with all these random people. There's not like a mission marker to it, so you can't just go to this place, and get all the Gwent cards. So that's kind of why I've put that off to the side. It really seemed inconsequential to me. But everything else I've done in the game, and I put over 100 hours into it. I'm looking forward to doing it again. I've already started doing it again, so I'm going to play more. Let's see, if I want to talk a little bit about the side quests and the contracts. I did feel that those got very samey rather quick. They're really, really quite similar. But it didn't stop me from enjoying like the Witcher contracts. Those were okay. Finding the armor upgrades, those were a little bit tedious and not very challenging. It just usually involved going somewhere using my my Batman, aka Witcher senses, which I was not a great fan of how they used that in this game. I thought they overused that, especially in these side quest scenarios. It seemed like every single Witcher contract was go, talk to this guy, talk to the second guy, follow the tracks, get to the lair, kill the monster, get the money. That was it. It was every single one was exactly the same, and it always involved using your Witcher sense and following tracks or a smell, and it was every single one. And that was also in main story missions too. So you could see how a player might become overburdened by that and like, okay, come on, I want to do something more than just hold right mouse and walk around looking at footsteps. I like the way that they used Witcher Sense in previous titles. It wasn't so much of a mechanic as it was in this. It was more of it's just another thing that was in there. I guess they tried to make it more a part of the game. I just felt like it was overused here, and it didn't really bring anything fun to the table. It didn't, for me anyway. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you want to be a detective and you're into that, but for me it didn't really add much to the experience of the RPG, and I don't know, I could have thought of better things to do with my time than walking around staring at the ground and following footsteps. Especially since it was involved with Witcher hunting contracts on Beast. I just thought there could have been a better way to go about that maybe than just following footsteps. I'm rambling. I did also want to touch on the combat in the game. I know some people don't like it. It almost seems like a love it or hate it sort of thing with the combat in the Witcher games. Personally, I like it. I don't mind the rolling around. I like that they brought in the new dashing mechanic, which was nice to see. I really don't have a big problem with the combat. I like the balance of using my oils and the signs and abilities, and on the harder difficulties against certain beasts, those certainly come into play a lot more, especially on like Blood and Bones when you're getting towards like the ender bosses like Eridan and things. So I like the combat in the Witcher series, but I know it is kind of like a love it or hate it thing, and for a lot of people that's like a barrier that they can't overcome. It's like they like the art style and the story of The Witcher, but for whatever reason they absolutely hate the combat in the Witcher series, and I don't get it. I don't know why they don't like it, but I'm not gonna judge it. If you don't like it, it's that's your prerogative to not like something. That's up to you. But I personally don't get it. I wish someone could explain that to me. What it is about the Witcher combat that is just so inherently bad. I just like to understand it a little bit more from the other side. So maybe there's something I could look for that maybe I didn't notice before and say, oh yeah, you know what, that is kind of a bad thing. In relation to the combat, I also want to say that the health system in the Witcher games, at least in Witcher 3 anyway, is rather frustrating, the use of the food. It's like there's so many times it's like I just want a health potion that's going to work. And I guess that's, it plays into the lore and it works and everything like that. And you have Swallow, which is something that speeds up how fast your recovery works. But it was difficult the way they worked it in, and some of the food just seemed so frustrating because it does 50 health for like 5 seconds, or 80 for it didn't seem like there was any really, really good food to keep stocked or anything like that. It just seemed like I was always barely holding on to it, and in boss fights it can be really frustrating trying to work with that health system. So that's something where I just wanted to see like a standard health potion, but then again it also added to the difficulty, and that's something we don't have enough in games nowadays, in my opinion, is having difficult games that are actually challenging. So, I don't know, maybe it is for the better. Also, the DLC, Hearts of Stone. Wow, what a good DLC. It even integrates a character you meet earlier in the game, Gaunter Odim. You meet him like very early. It's one of the first characters you meet in White Orchard. So when you're looking for Yennefer and you're talking to him about how she smells like lilac and gooseberries, you meet Gaunter Odim. He's a kind of shady character, and he's a really strong character in Hearts of Stone. Hearts of Stone's story is a very classic sort of fairy tale, like sort of like Faust, or like the devil, like who grants wishes and things like that. Spoiler alert. But it's like it was really good, man, and it was like, I don't know, like 10-15 hours, I'd say. They threw in a few side quests, like a contract or two, I think, and a few things of Gwent. There were some things in there that dragged on. There was a couple parties that you go to, like a wedding, and that kind of dragged on. I felt like that was there to almost just sort of pad out the DLC, which was a little disappointing, but the story in it was so strong, and everything else around it, and the characters and the voice acting for just a DLC, that set it apart from other games where it's like, why aren't other games doing DLCs and proper expansions like this? This wasn't really a DLC. This was an expansion. Okay, this was a story expansion. We're expecting there's going to be one more expansion coming out called Blood and Wine. It's rumored to be a few months from now, and CD Projekt Red is saying it's going to be 20 plus hours, and they have personally said that they think it should be a sequel more than a DLC. It's going to be that big. It's it's got like a new environment and everything, so I'm super looking forward to Blood and Wine. I can't wait until that comes out, just because I'm done with Witcher 3 now, and all I have to do is the New Game Plus, so I'm looking forward to Hearts of Stone, not Hearts of Stone, Blood and Wine, just so that I can have more Witcher to play. And I really hope CD Projekt Red at some point in the future after Cyberpunk 2077, maybe returns to the Witcher universe, even if it's not with Geralt. Maybe it's with Ciri or a new character, another Witcher entirely. I don't know. But I'd like to see them, maybe revisit this universe at some point. Or if not, I'll continue to follow CD Projekt Red because they just make incredible games, and I can't wait to see what they have in store for Cyberpunk 2077 myself. That game looks awesome. And yeah, that's my final thoughts on Witcher 3 The Wild Hunt. I know it's been almost a year in the making for this review, but I feel it was well worth it. I hope you guys do as well. Please check out Witcher 3 and let me know your thoughts on the game, the video, and everything. And if you haven't picked it up yet, you should definitely do so, or, wait for it to come down a little bit cheaper if you want. If you want to wait for it to come down $5-10, I'm sure it will eventually at some point. But, right now, it's like around $30, and to me personally, even just on a single player, man, is it worth it. Man, is it worth it. But I'm going to go ahead and catch you guys next time. Ta-ra.
Is it done?
Yes.
Did he believe you?
I have no idea.
For the cockatrice. And we've a new contract. It won't pay much, but I think it worth the toil.
You've been busy. It's yours.
A witch's sword. Swallow. Ooh, beautiful. May I?
Not here. You'll have ample opportunity soon enough, Witcher.
Let's try it out then.